It's been over 2 years since my girlfriend and I moved in together, and we've been dating for nearly 6. We met in college, both fresh-faced and wide-eyed. Since then, we've built our lives around each other, and I thought we were inseparable. But everything began to unravel when one of my old college friends, Larry, who had moved abroad, told me he was coming back to visit. Naturally, I offered him a place to stay. My girlfriend had never met him in person, but she'd seen him through Skype calls while we were together. He and I kept in touch often, and my girlfriend would be around, listening to our conversations, getting to know him a little through me. It seemed harmless, right? At first, things were fine when Larry arrived. We had a good time, catching up and reminiscing about the old days. But as the days went on, something started to feel off. I noticed the way Larry and my girlfriend interacted with each other. It wasn't overt, but there was a tension between them that made me uncomfortable. They seemed too familiar with each other, exchanging inside jokes that I didn't even get. And there was this strange closeness that didn't sit right with me. I started to feel like I was third-wheeling in my own home. I confided in my girlfriend about it, expressing how uneasy it made me feel. She assured me that nothing was going on, that I was just being paranoid. I wanted to believe her, I really did, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. Still, I didn't confront Larry. I kept my distance and tried to just deal with it. But then, things between Larry and I started to get tense. Little arguments started over nothing, and I realized that I couldn't keep pretending everything was fine. So, I asked Larry to leave and find somewhere else to stay. That's when the bitterness between him and me really started to grow. The situation didn't improve. Larry left, and we went on with our lives, but I still couldn't shake the weird energy that had developed. My girlfriend, at this point, was upset with me for making Larry leave, accusing me of being miserable and unreasonable. We fought over it, but eventually, she apologized. However, I couldn't help feeling disappointed she hadn't understood my feelings. And worse, she had scolded me when I needed her support the most. It was hard to let that go. Then one night, a few days after Larry had left, I made a choice that I still regret out of pure curiosity. I opened my girlfriend's Facebook. I know it was wrong. I knew I shouldn't have done it, but my mind was spinning. She had left the computer on, logged in, and I noticed a message from Larry. Without thinking, I opened it. What I found shattered everything I thought I knew about her. They'd met up behind my back when I was on a business trip. It wasn't just one time they had planned to meet again, but my girlfriend had backed out. I read his messages where he told her how much he missed her, how he needed to hold her again, calling her sweetie. I was absolutely livid. My stomach turned. I could feel the anger and sadness rising in me, like a wave crashing over my chest. The worst part? She had sent him a picture from that weekend. A photo of a campfire we had shared together, with the caption, "I miss you, God damn it." I was sick. I couldn't believe what I was reading. The betrayal hit me like a ton of bricks. I had to confront her. It was 1 a.m., but I woke her up. At first, she'd need everything, still groggy from sleep, trying to brush it off. But when I told her I had read her messages, that I knew everything, she couldn't lie anymore. She saw the hurt in my eyes, and that's when the truth finally came out. She explained herself, but I was too far gone. I was devastated. I was angry, sad, and hurt all at once. I had let Larry into my home, into my life, and this is what happened. I had trusted her, and now it felt like everything had been a lie. Worse still, she told me that she didn't think I loved her anymore. Every time she tried to talk to me seriously, I'd laugh it off or joke around. She had been frustrated with me for a while, but I had no idea it would lead to something like this. I felt torn. I was still deeply in love with her, and part of me didn't want to lose everything we had built. But the other part of me, the part that had any shred of self-respect left, knew that I couldn't continue a relationship built on such broken trust. It was as if everything had been turned upside down in a matter of hours. My heart was broken, and my mind was racing, unsure of what to do. That night, we barely spoke. She apologized, but her words didn't matter. I had seen the truth with my own eyes. As I sat there, trying to process everything, I realized that my relationship with her, my life with her, was falling apart. I had to make a decision. Should I stay, despite everything, or should I walk away? I couldn't answer that just yet, but one thing was clear: things could never go back to the way they were. It's been almost 20 days since that night. So much has happened, yet it still feels like I'm in a haze, unsure of how to move forward. I've had a lot of time to think, time spent on the road with my job, keeping myself distracted with business trips. I've started to carve out a new routine for myself, and it's been a strange kind of freedom. I no longer have to worry about someone else's needs, someone else's problems. I can plan my days the way I want, and for the first time in a long time, I feel like I have control over my life again. But even with all the space I've created for myself, the memories of what happened keep creeping back in. I'm trying to rebuild, trying to understand how things went so wrong. It's hard to shake the feeling that I missed something, like I was blind to the signs. But now, looking back, I realize how unhappy I was even before everything came to light. There were red flags everywhere, things I ignored, hoping they'd just fix themselves. I kept pushing through, telling myself that this was just what people in long-term relationships did. We pushed through hard times. We didn't quit. Now, I see it wasn't just about pushing through. It was about ignoring the cracks in the foundation of our relationship. I was so invested in the idea of us that I failed to see how unhappy I was. The reality is, I've been unhappy for a long time, and I stayed in it because I thought it was normal. Because I thought we had built something worth holding onto, even if it was crumbling beneath the surface. The sunken cost fallacy, thinking that because we had been together for so long, it was too late to turn back. But now I see that wasn't true. I'm not perfect. I've made mistakes. I wasn't the perfect boyfriend. I wasn't always emotionally available, and I made light of things when I should have been more serious. I wasn't perfect, but I tried, and I thought she was trying too. But when the truth came out, when I found out what she had done, it felt like everything I thought I knew was a lie. I thought I could never move on, that this pain would define me. But I've started to realize something. Maybe it's the therapy. Maybe it's the time away from her, from all of it. I've started to see that I wasn't just devastated because of what she did. I was devastated because I lost the version of myself that I built around her. It wasn't just the relationship I was grieving. It was the person I thought I was when I was with her. It was the idea of my future that now seems shattered. I tried to distract myself by meeting someone new during a business trip. We ended up in bed together, but it was nothing like I expected. I couldn't even enjoy it. I thought I was just acting out of pure need, but as soon as we started, all I could think about was my ex. I couldn't even finish. I felt sick. I was so wrapped up in the memory of her, in the betrayal, that I couldn't be present with this new person. She was understanding when I told her that I had just gotten out of a relationship. But it didn't make it any easier. I regretted even putting myself in that situation. But in a way, it helped me see how much I was still broken. How much I still hadn't processed everything. The worst part of it all is that my ex didn't have any friends of her own. That should have been a red flag too, but I ignored it. She was always around mine, which was fine at first, but now I realize how strange it was. How unhealthy it is for someone to not have their own support system, their own people. My friends have always been there for me. But she never had anyone. I see now how much I overlooked. I've had to talk to some of our mutual friends about everything. They've been shocked. But at the same time, they all sort of knew something was off. They told me they had a feeling that something was going on between Larry and my ex. But Larry denied it when they asked him. It turns out they were right. He'd been lying to them too. Since then, Larry has tried to reach out to some of them to make amends. But most of them have cut him off. It's been strange to realize how many people have been affected by this. How many lives have been touched by his deceit. One of those people is John, a mutual friend of Larry's and mine. We've always had a good relationship, and he was around a lot when Larry was staying with me. He even came over to my place recently, and of course, we talked about everything. He told me that Larry had been lying to him too, but he's still trying to process it. It's a little frustrating to hear, to be honest. I told him that if he wanted to continue being friends with Larry, the first couldn't keep associating with him. I've had enough of these toxic people in my life. But John seemed confused, unsure of what to do. I told him that's fine. But if he's going to stand by someone who stabbed me in the back, then that's on him. I haven't heard from John since, but I know he's still in contact with Larry. I don't really care at this point. It's not about him anymore. It's about me. It's about my peace of mind. And if that means cutting ties with people who can't see how messed up this situation is, then so be it. But things have started to shift. I've begun to focus more on myself, on rebuilding my life. It's not easy, but I'm trying. I'm hitting the gym more, eating better, and spending more time with my dog, who has been a real comfort through all of this. My dog is the one constant in my life right now, and I'm starting to feel like I'm finally gaining some ground. As for my ex, I've barely spoken to her since that night. She's reached out a few times, but I've kept my distance. She's been sending me long, emotional messages about how she regrets everything, about how she misses me, but I've resisted the urge to respond. I know it's just another attempt to manipulate me. I can't go back to that. I know better now. And then there's Larry. I know he's trying to reach out to some of our mutual friends, trying to make amends, but it's too late. He's a toxic person, and I can't have him in my life anymore. It's hard to say goodbye to someone I once considered a close friend. But betrayal is betrayal, and I can't forgive him for what he did. In the meantime, I'm just trying to keep moving forward. I'm making plans for a solo hiking trip, trying to reconnect with myself. I don't know where things will go from here, but for the first time in a long time, I feel like I'm on the right path. I'm not perfect, but I'm learning, and that's all I can do right now. It's been a few more weeks since the last time I checked in. I've been doing a lot of soul searching, trying to process everything that happened. I'm slowly starting to realize that the hardest part of all this wasn't the betrayal, it was the loss of the person I thought I knew. The person I thought I was building a life with. It's been a constant emotional roller coaster. There are moments when I feel like I've finally got my footing, and then there are moments when I'm hit with the weight of it all, and it feels like it's crushing me. But slowly, I've started to gain some perspective. The time away from my ex has helped, and I've been working on taking better care of myself. The gym has become a bit of an escape. It's funny how lifting weights, feeling that physical burn, can clear your mind. It's like a reset button for my emotions. I'm eating better too. I'm starting to notice how much my body and mind were out of sync when I was with her. The stress of the relationship was manifesting physically, sleeping poorly, eating poorly, just feeling drained all the time. Now, I'm starting to feel a little more energized. It's not perfect, but it's progress. The dog has been a huge part of my healing. Honestly, I can't imagine going through this without him. Every time I come home, he's there, wagging his tail, acting like nothing's wrong. It's comforting, in a way, to have that kind of unconditional love. He doesn't care about any of the drama. He just wants to be around, wants to play. It's been a steady source of peace for me. But then, out of nowhere, my ex starts to resurface. I thought I was finally getting the peace I needed. But she won't leave me alone. I'm not going to lie, it's hard to ignore her. She's been leaving me these long emotional messages, sending voicemails, and even trying to show up at my house unannounced. I didn't answer at first, but then she left me a letter. A handwritten one, shoved through the door with an old Polaroid of us. It was a picture of us with the dog, before everything fell apart. I could feel the weight of it as I opened the envelope. It was a letter full of regrets and pleas for forgiveness. She even included a playlist as a QR code. I didn't scan it. I couldn't. But the thing that pushed me over the edge wasn't her antics. It was something else, something I wasn't prepared for. It turns out, Larry never actually left the country when he said he did. I found out by accident when a neighbor casually mentioned that they had seen him talking to my ex one afternoon. I was floored, furious. But honestly, at that point, I felt so numb that I didn't even know how to react. I blocked both of them on every social media platform. I couldn't handle it anymore. I had been holding on to Facebook Messenger conversations with Larry for closure, thinking I could get some kind of answer from him. But it was just dragging me down. It was time to let go. So I did. I also changed the locks on my house. I couldn't risk them showing up again. A week later, something unexpected happened. My ex's sister reached out. Yes, the same sister who had been caught up in all this mess. She called me to apologize out of the blue. She confessed that she had known about my ex and Larry hooking up during the first week Larry was here. It had happened the night I thought my ex was asleep in the couch. I didn't even know what to say. Part of me was relieved to finally know the full truth. Another part of me felt completely betrayed all over again. Her sister had seen the text between them on my ex's phone and pieced everything together. She wanted to clear her conscience. It felt like another bombshell, but at the same time, I couldn't help but feel a bit of closure. It was like the final piece of the puzzle had been placed. I now knew, without a doubt, what had happened. In a way, it was freeing to know the truth. I could finally stop wondering. Stop imagining what else had been going on behind my back. But it also made the decision to cut ties with everyone involved much easier. Larry was out of my life for good. My ex. I couldn't look at her the same way anymore. I didn't want to go back to any of that. I started to distance myself from the people who had been caught up in the mess. I wasn't going to sit around and wait for them to fix things. It was clear to me now that they were all in their own version of denial. They were broken people, blaming the world for their own unhappiness. And I didn't want to be a part of that anymore. I didn't want to live in that toxicity. So I did the only thing I could. I let go. I've been focusing on myself, taking time to rediscover who I am without all the baggage. I started picking up old hobbies I'd forgotten about, like playing guitar. It's been a challenge, but I find it strangely therapeutic to sit down with my acoustic guitar and play. It's not about becoming a master, but just about being in the moment, creating something that's just for me. I've also been spending a lot of time reflecting on how far I've come. The house, which was once a symbol of our shared life, is slowly starting to feel like my own. I've been redecorating, painting walls, getting new furniture, just changing the space so it feels more like mine. I even built a little ramp for the dog to help him get onto his favorite platform in the backyard. It sounds small, but it's one of those little things that makes it feel like I'm in control again. As for the dog, I've taken full responsibility for him. We've got this shared custody situation worked out, but I know he's better off with me. He's been so much calmer since he's been back home with me. My ex couldn't handle the separation, and I hated that for her, but the dog is happy, and that's all that matters now. My mind is still a whirlwind. Some days, I can't stop thinking about the past, about the lies, the betrayal, but I know it's part of the process. I've started therapy to help me deal with it all, and honestly, it's been eye-opening. I've learned a lot about myself, about my tendency to spiral and ruminate on things. It's not healthy, but I'm working on it. I've learned that healing doesn't happen overnight, and sometimes it's okay to not have all the answers. The last couple of months have been full of surprises. Some good, some bad. I've reconnected with Tim, my ex's ex-husband, and it's been surprisingly helpful to talk to him. We've found some comfort in knowing that we're not alone in this madness. I've also been getting back into a routine with my job. I'm still traveling a lot, but I'm enjoying it more now. I've started thinking about what comes next, and it's freeing to think that the future is mine to shape. I'm not waiting for anyone to decide it for me anymore. It's been a while now. Time has passed, and I feel like I'm starting to get back on track. The process has been slow, but I'm healing. More than that, I'm learning how to live my life for me again. I know I'm not completely over everything, but I can see that there's light at the end of this tunnel. It hasn't been easy, but I've come a long way from the person I was just a few months ago. The house is almost unrecognizable now. Every room feels different, almost as if it has shed the weight of everything that once was. I repainted the living room the color she hated most, just because I could. It's funny how something as simple as changing the color of the walls can feel so empowering. I replaced the old throw pillows she used to love with honest that make me feel good. I've put plants everywhere. My dog loves the new setup, and it's starting to feel like my home again, something that's just mine. The house doesn't feel like a battleground anymore, it feels like a sanctuary. I'm still adjusting, still figuring out what this new life looks like, but I'm in a much better place mentally. My job has been keeping me busy, which is both a blessing and a curse. I'm on the road a lot, but I've been learning to embrace the solitude. It gives me time to think, time to focus on what I want for myself. And I've been doing a lot of thinking. I'm finally allowing myself to entertain the possibility that maybe I'm better off without her, without Larry, without all the people who betrayed me. Maybe it's time to embrace the freedom that comes with moving forward. Speaking of moving forward, I started spending time with someone new. It wasn't a rebound. It wasn't about trying to fill the void that was left behind. It was just different. This woman is easygoing, fun, and completely free of the emotional baggage I've been carrying around. We don't talk about my ex. We don't dwell on the past, and that's exactly what I needed. I'm not rushing into anything with her, but it feels nice to have someone to spend time with who doesn't bring any of the drama that I've had to deal with for so long. The whole situation with Larry has been haunting me less and less. That's probably the most surprising part of all of this, how much I've started to forget about him. I still remember the betrayal, of course, but I'm not consumed by it anymore. He's still trying to worm his way into some of my old social circles, and I've heard through the grapevine that he's been hanging around with John again. But I'm done. I don't care. Larry is a chapter of my life I've closed, and I'm not reopening it. The people who continue to associate with him are on their own now. I'm not going to waste my time and energy on people who can't see the damage he's caused. John and I haven't spoken much since I made it clear that I wouldn't be friends with him if he kept hanging out with Larry. I don't have any ill will toward John, but I can't keep associating with someone who condones that kind of behavior. And it's not like I'm actively avoiding him. It's just that I don't want any part of the toxic energy that's been dragging me down. If he wants to continue being friends with Larry, that's his choice. But I won't be a part of it. In some ways, it feels like I've been living in a different world for a while now. It's almost surreal how much has changed in just a few months. I've started finding peace in things I never expected. I've been hiking on my own, spending time with my dog in nature, and just letting my mind wander. It's been liberating to find new things that bring me joy, things that don't involve any of the old drama. A few weeks ago, I even went out with a friend who I've known for a long time. We talked about exes, about all the chaos that had unfolded, and how we both felt about it now. It was nice to just talk openly without any hidden agendas. I've been learning that sometimes, healing is about letting go of the past and allowing yourself to find new ways of living. I'm not the person I was when I was with her. I'm not the same person I was when Larry and I were friends. I'm becoming someone new, and I'm okay with that. As for my ex, I haven't heard from her in a while. I'm sure she's tried reaching out through other means, but I'm not interested. She's tried to send me messages, to apologize, to say that she wants to explain everything. But I've stopped responding. I don't need her closure. I don't need her in my life anymore. She tried to manipulate me with guilt, telling me how much she regrets everything, how she misses me, but I know it's just another ploy to reel me back in. I'm done. One of the most liberating moments came when I realized that I don't need her approval anymore. I don't need her validation. I'm not defined by my relationship with her, and I'm not going to let her actions dictate how I see myself. For so long, I had tied my sense of worth to her and to the life we were supposed to build together. But now, I know that I can build my own life, on my own terms. I've started to get back to doing the things I love. I'm back to playing guitar. I'm exploring new hobbies, things I never had the time or energy to pursue before. I've made new friends, and I've reconnected with old ones. Life is starting to feel like mine again, and it's a good feeling. I've learned so much through this painful process, and I know that I'll continue to grow and evolve. As for the future, I'm not rushing into anything. I'm taking things one day at a time, figuring out who I want to be and where I want to go. I've been planning a solo hiking trip soon, something I've always wanted to do. It's a little scary, but it's also incredibly exciting. It's about reclaiming my own journey, one step at a time. This story is mine now. I've lived through the chaos, the heartbreak, and the confusion, but I'm emerging from it stronger. I know the road ahead won't always be smooth, but I'm learning to face it with courage. I'm no longer weighed down by the past, and I'm excited to see where my life takes me next.